Well, I'm playing around. We have to have a nice day. So I was sorting out handles for things. I've got quite a few of these handles on stand, and they're the good Bowman handles that I really like. But there's a wide variety of handles for different uses that I'm sorting out. And I had bought a whole box full of hammers in various states of disrepair. Just plain old hammers. Well, this happens to be a plum. And I was just marveling at the ingenuity of people. This guy probably was a roofer, and then he was fond of shingle nails. He got 7 of them nailed in there. She's tight, but this kind of repair and that sort of thing. It was a good load of hammers for, I think it was 10 of them for $20, so $2 a piece for these hammers. But I can, like I say, I'll salvage, put new handles on, because there I can get Bowman makes these good squared off type handles. I really like them, like I did with this one that was my grandparents' old hammer. It just makes a nice handle. But I've got assorted axes, including a Norland head. Normally, when I get these hammers, like this is a hammer I found laying along the road with a broken handle. Glass beat them, get the old handle out, and then I paint them with this Rust-Oleum flat black just to keep them from rusting. So I got an assortment of hammers, including a rock hammer. But they make handles for all of them. Now this Norland, it's a 2 1/4 pound, and it's kind of a nice size. For many years on the trampoline, I had a Sandvik that I had, a regular small hatchet that excellent steel, but it had a real short, like this kind of a handle on. And I took that off and took the handle. I cut down the handle from a double bit axe and made about a 2-foot handle, and that made real handy for trapping. And the shape on the back was good for, I was trapping beavers through the ice, and you could reach down with that and hook a conifer and pull it out. So that was a handy size. So I thought, well, I'll do something with this. But now here, it's a 2 1/4 pound. And the guy had the wrong handle in there, so it was in no way going to fit on there. And he had her shimmed. That shim was laying around here someplace with an odd-shaped piece of wood that he had driven in. It was all wrong. Too heavy a head for too short a handle. The handle they come with is like a 19 or 20 inch, and I've got one of them coming. And I'll put that in. But this I was able to salvage, just work for a regular little hatchet, but it was no good for that heavy of a head on that Norland. But that's an interesting little axe. And that one I painted red. Normally I just do the flat black, but they come red. There was actually some red paint on it yet. So I thought, okay, I'll leave that red. And it's easier to find if you should drop it someplace. Well, I was going to mention, speaking of the hammer thing, here's something I'd never seen in some of these hammers. Instead of a wedge or a pile of shingle nails, there is a tapered screw. Well, that's new to me, so I'm hanging on to them. But I had never seen them before. But it seemed to hold. Well, she was loose, so it wasn't holding real well. But I'm kind of sorting this out so I can figure out what I actually have to get for more handles when I get into town. Because there's even like for the ball peen hammers and stuff, there's a variation in sizes. So to find the right one that matches up. I thought I had a good stock of them, but I've got buckets full of old heads and stuff that I got to work on. But I think this was the one that was going to go in here. Yeah. So I'll put that aside. That one's, because I've got like sledgehammers and whatnot that are going to go together. I don't know what the actual purpose of this one was, but it's an interesting hammer. Oh, yeah, that'll go in there too. Pointy thing says Warren on it. And I'm sure when I was digging in their handles, they had one for one of these, for a rock hammer. That was very much, because they're square, like a hammer handle, but it's a little smaller than a hammer handle. Well, and I think that one's going with that one. So I'm down to, well, if this goes on something, yeah, it'll go on that. Okay. It'll clean me out of handles. Well, I got a lot of big handles, but, yeah, I got no, it's too big for that one. So I have one handle to spare. I can work it down, but besides all this, which is always interesting to do if you got a nice day, you monkey around with them, get them back into service. I don't really collect them or use them, but I hate to see a good hammer just sitting there not doing anything. Though I think this might be like a saddle maker or a shoe maker or something. You run into some odd shapes, but they all have purposes. But I had got an email from somebody, and I debated on how to answer him. It was somebody was trying to load cast in a 30-30. I went on about this before, and I'm sure I'll probably have to do it again. But I just debated about how much time I want to spend showing the deal here. Once I satisfy myself that cast doesn't work in a 30-30, I lose interest in it. I load jacketed bullets for a 30-30 because a 30-30 was designed to shoot jacketed bullets. But people persist in trying to shoot cast bullets in them. And that's where they run into trouble. Like he's getting wildly erratic velocities, which isn't surprising because 30-30's got a fast twist in it. And you start trying to get lead down there, and it'll just shear that lead. The lead will slip. It's never going to work good. If you get the lead hard enough, and you reduce the load enough, you can make them shoot, but you can't make them shoot well. You can make them shoot adequately if you're just plinking around, but you can't get the velocity out of them that you need to be effective. But they're great with the jacketed bullets, which is what they were designed for. There's some guns that you just aren't ever going to have any luck shooting cast bullets in them, unless you're making plinking rounds, like even a Mosin. You can't jack that speed up on a Mosin with cast bullets. They just go wild. But if you slow them down, you can make them work. And especially like with a 30-30, then when you start getting into the Marlin with the micro groove, then you've got another problem. Then you have to have them big. So you need them big, hard, and slow to make them work in a 30-30. But that's just minimally work. You really want to shoot what they're designed to shoot, which is a jacketed bullet. Then they work great. Nothing wrong with a 30-30. You just have to put the right ammunition in them. It's like on a car, you can't put diesel in a gas-powered car and expect it to work well. It's not going to work well. It's the same way. But that's where the 32 Special, with the slow twist rifling. These cartridges are so much the same. The 32 Special is just a slightly bigger bore, but slightly. But the case is really the same. You can blow out a 30-30. Just the neck is all that's different in them. And then they work perfectly fine. The loading data for a 30-30 and a 32 Special are the same. You can take if you take a same size bullet, a cast bullet, in a 32 special is going to shoot great. You put it in a 30-30 and it's going to shoot lousy. You know, the same weight to bullet. They just weren't made for it. That's all there is to it. You know, I don't know how many times I have to say. You know, and you can read, you can get all this information and look at all these charts and all this nonsense. But on the ground, when you start shooting them, it becomes apparent rather quickly that a 30-30 isn't made to shoot cast bullets. But people persist. And in fact, somebody made a comment the one time and said that, oh, he shoots cast bullets and they work amazingly in a 30-30. Fantastically, he said. Well, fantasy is the whole thing here. They don't work well. It is just a fantasy. I have never successfully, you know, when I played around with 30-30 with cast, both in my Marlin and in my brother's Winchester, I shot a lot of ammunition to them playing with different loads and stuff. It just doesn't work. It's just not, it's not going to be accurate. But you can take that same bullet weight in the 32 special, which is what I got here. They were great. But that gun was made to shoot cast bullets. You know, people will say, why is that 32 special? Well, it's made to shoot black powder. Well, it can shoot black powder, but it can also shoot cast bullets very well because it's got a slow twist to it. You know, if you're looking at a gun and you're thinking about trying to shoot cast bullets through it, just look down the barrel. If you see them tight coils, you've got an uphill battle. You know, you want a slow twist for cast. But it's not my job to convince people of that. They can play around all they want. Once I have convinced myself of that, once that I know that that's what's happening, and I know that's what it does, I have no interest in playing further. I load my 30-30 with jacketed, I load my 32 special with cast, and I am satisfied with that. So, you want to know my thoughts on it? That's my thoughts on it. You're beating a dead horse. You know, it's interesting only as an intellectual exercise. You will learn something, but what you will learn is that a 30-30 is a jacketed bullet gun. That's my last word on that. Hopefully, I doubt it. It always comes up.